The point of this project was time over money. And I've been searching for a chair, riding around for, I would say, an hour. I had a hope that there would be a random chair just laying around for me. Just tiny hope, absolutely no evidence. And you know what, boys? We fucking found it. I'm gonna mount that to my bike. Sarah, come here.
What did you find? No, you didn't find a chair. Eric! Where the fuck did you find the chair?
Alright, in case you were wondering what's special about this chair is made up of metal tubes, and what I think I can do is break the whole chair apart and then take those metal tubes and flatten them into the shapes I need to be able to make myself a bike rack. And the whole reason I want a bike rack is because I am so passionate about riding bikes lately, and I want to take it to the next level. I want to camp with my bike. It's called bike packing, and I have a lot of friends who do it. A lot of friends that go like really far away for trips to do it, but while I'm in Australia, I really want to give it a shot. And so I recently bought the bike for 50 Oz or 35 US, and the next step is to kit it out with everything I need so I can bring all my gear with me. Kind of the whole goal of this is to do it as inexpensively as possible. I feel like you can just throw money at any problem, but really the real consequence is when you throw time at things. And that's why throughout this whole project, I made sure that time was just the thing I had the most of. I'm throwing it around everywhere. It probably took me an hour to take apart this whole chair, and that's not even considering the amount of time it took to plan this whole thing out in my head. This is the part where I really started to see things come together. I found two pieces that looked really good together. I sawed them in half, and I just kind of imagined where they'd go on the bike. And without making any measurements whatsoever, I just took a marker and drew on the line and just started sawing it in half again. And that's been my whole plan for this entire project. It's put more effort into building than design. And that is a flaw. I'm not an engineer, and you can see the bike's falling over. Even the bike is trying to fight the stupidity here. Well, here are the two pieces that I just sized. I cut them in half, and then I smashed them with a hammer so then they'd be flat. And not only is that a really good platform to build the rest of the bike off of, the rest of the rack off of, but it'll also help me out for my my attachment method. So for my joints, I decided to do something simple. I just decided to drill a hole straight through the flattened metal and then just followed up with a screw and a bolt. What I didn't expect would be the difficulty would be trying to find a matching screw to bolt. The whole set was mixed with standard and metric, and I'm in Australia, so I wouldn't expect to see any standard, but I just couldn't find any metric. All right, and here's the finished product. So I decided to take two of the long horizontal poles from the chair and just use them on the top. They make a good platform. I flattened the ends, put a screw in, and to attach it on the bike, I used these pipe plumber's tape pieces. They work pretty well. On the back, you can see where they're attached. There's only one screw to connect the two cross pieces together. And then in between the horizontal bars, I just took a random piece from the ground and used a screw on one end and a zip tie on the other. And then the reflector, I moved from one end and ran out of room with the screw, so I had to use some wire. Man, I really love vintage bikes, but one thing that really annoys me are the lack of attachment points. So that's why I had to use just the top tubes, and then at the bottom, here's a zoomed out view, but then at the bottom you can see I just had to throw a screw in, thankfully the only mounting points on the whole bike. Without those, it wouldn't even be attached. So, that's it. So if you made it this far, thank you. Here's the retrospective. So while I clean up, there was a couple of things in my mind. The first is that for some reason when it comes to projects, it's always more fun to just kind of jump right in. And what I found is I'm definitely the head first, hammer before the nail. But the problem is you end up just kind of creating a maze for yourself when it could just be a straight line. And this isn't the first bike project I've done. In the next video, you're going to see me putting together a bike bag. And in the same way that, in the same way I went about this one, I did the same thing. I did no plan. I just went after it. And yeah, wish me luck. But anyway, thanks for watching. I did in fact clean up the garage. My feet were messy, and I made the carpet black with all the rust. That wasn't good, but yeah, it works.